Hello guys and welcome to Sparkfinger channel. In this channel we talk a lot about AI Dungeon and many other AI games. Novel AI coming out soon. Holo AI, I'll try to make a video soon, I hope I can do this. And today our video is going to be about world creation, and an insanely awesome feature that was added to AI Dungeon not too long ago. That means that we will be able to create lore and all the world information for the scenario that we like to play in. Normally, we have these default worlds. Let me show you. As you can see in the new game menu, we have pre-created featured worlds. As you can see, there is some of my worlds that I created, two of them. Tamriel, my first version of Tamriel, and Ebonia, well, this is just a funny world revolving around music. And there's a lot of other very nice and simple, curious worlds. To be fair, I haven't played the paid ones, but I have gathered a lot of skills over the years, so perhaps one day I should play them and maybe even review them. But this video today isn't about those pre-created worlds, those featured old worlds. Today we are going to create our own world. And we are not just going to create a random, unpredictable world. Because, you know, GPT-3 has been learning on pretty much all the literature in the world, well, on a very large portion of it. And on the internet it knows a lot about worlds, about fantasy and sci-fi worlds that have already been created in popular culture. And the fact that GPT-3 already knows so much about popular culture and literature, fantasy and sci-fi means that we can create a world that already has been created, and GPT-3 will already know so much about it. Let's click here, create a world. There is, as you can see, we created a short description for Tamriel. We put in the name and the genre, and we put in our own description. And you can also choose to generate, for example, another random world. Let's give it a shot. We put a unique combination of genres, and let's see what happens when we generate romantic sci-fi. We ended up with a curious world, Highlight. Highlight is a world of hard science meeting dark fantasy. Highlight is a hostile world where dust storms rise out of the deserts, and the only life to be found is found in great cities and hardened work camps. Citadel is the last bastion of mankind, a small city-state dedicated to the advancement of science and the great defeat of the malevolent Void. Beyond Citadel's walls, the Zind, a savage race of giants and ogres, carve out an existence out of the harsh environment. Their armies endlessly roam the land, hunting down and destroying all that oppose them. You can choose to create a new random world for your own personal adventures. However, today we are going to create, with a world that already exists and fantasy and popular culture, we're going to create Tamriel. Here, as we can see, I already took liberty of creating multiple races. Normally there are 10 major races in Tamriel, and I created all of them, and some of them are created twice. Let's just read some of them. I mean, I'm going to put it on the screen in case you want to read it later in your own time. Let's start with everyone's favorite Nords from Skyrim. I created Nords, and just so the AI wouldn't confuse it with, let's say, real Scandinavian Nords, I put Skyrim in brackets. Nords are a tall, fair-haired people with a natural resistance to cold and innate magic, just like in Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion, everywhere. Nords are a very independent race with a strong sense of personal freedom and pride. Distinguished by their skill as warriors, Nords are often outspoken and honest, to the point of rudeness. Let's read about some of the elves. Altmer, Elder Scrolls, once again, just so it can have some additional context to generate. The Altmer are a race of elf-like humanoids who can live thousands of years in perfect health thanks to the longevity granted by their magical nature. An Altmer is one of the several races of men unknown. They are also known as High Elves by humans. To other races they were the elite, but they aren't the elite anymore. It is said they were created in the Dawn Era by the god Anupadamai. Very lore-friendly. Just like almost everything in this section of the world creation. It knows so much about Tamriel already. Let's read a couple more. Elder Scrolls orcs are considered one of the nations of men, along with the Redguards, Norse and Imperials. Not mentioning Bretons, funny enough. They are considered a green-skinned race, but also they were thought to be descendants of elves or even mer. Well, it's funny because elves and mer are the same in the Elder Scrolls Online. I mean, just in Elder Scrolls universe. I've been playing way too much Elder Scrolls Online. They've been known to worship certain Daedra, which is all very lore-friendly. Here I decided to create a couple more descriptions for orcs, just so we can see the variety that GPT-3 knows, what GPT-3 knows about. For example, orcs, Hrothgar is a mountainous region where the majority of orcs originate from. The orcish tribes of Hrothgar are a small but dangerous race. Orc society is loosely ruled over by the High King Kurok, who actually exists in the Elder Scrolls Online. who rules over with his 3 war chiefs. The Orcish clans are small and mostly primitive, and the Orcish lifestyle is very territorial, and on Hrothgar they fight amongst each other for small patches of lands. And I decided to create one bonus race, an extinct race of Needs. Needs are a race of men who inhabited Tamriel before the arrival of elves, and it already knows it's an extinct race. And before the founding of the Imperial Empire, they are considered a relatively tall race of humans and are thought to have had an average lifespan of 2 centuries, not completely lore-friendly, though this is uncertain. And now let's click on the next part on the classes creation. Which classes, in the typical role-playing game fashion, are we going to have in this particular world? Let's generate some classes. Skipping ahead, I already created 4 very nice classes. Dragon Knights, typical warriors, of course, right now GPT-3 confused them for Dragonborns from Skyrim, which is of course not a big deal. Sorcerers, I decided to give it a more unique prompt, Daedric. Daedra, you know, are the evil demons of the Elder Scrolls universe, if you will. When a person dabbles with their arts of magic, they usually choose to worship one of the 8 Daedric princes. These princes are more inclined to sorcery and trickery than gods of the battle. The Sorcerer class is an advanced form of the Mage class. Sorcerers have sacrificed their bodies and minds to the Daedric princes. They have willingly taken their dark and mysterious gifts and are now able to cast powerful spells and teleport across the continent. Oh, that's so exciting. Nightblade Evil, they are just assassins, pretty normal stuff. Templar, Aedra. Templars are good guys. Aedra are the gods, the normal good gods of the Elder Scrolls universe. Templars are disciplined and their faith in Aedra gives them power over the physical world. They wear the heaviest armor and wield the most destructive weapons, but they themselves are most vulnerable targets on the battlefield. And let's skip to factions next. As you can see here, we forgot to select the proper races. Let's go back and pick some of them. Let's pick just 3 races for now. Let's pick Dunmers. We press on the dot, it selects one of the races as playable races for this particular world. Let's pick Imperials, why not? And let's pick Red Guards. In your own world, of course, you can create as many as you like. And we now go back to factions. Let's create the factions from Elder Scrolls Online. The three big alliances that fight against each other. And plus, we can also consider creating small factions like Fighters Guilds or Mages Guilds. Let's skip ahead. Well, there we go. For some reason, the AI had problems generating factions today. First, it generated Old-Merry Dominion like that, it just listed the 3 races that are a part of it, then I gave it a little bit of an additional prompt, ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, and it created a very nice one. It's a large kingdom consisting of 2 provinces, well, in reality a lot more. It's mainly an elven kingdom, but has many allies that also contribute to the cause, well, just Khajiit. The Old-Merry Dominion is a military kingdom led by a group of generals, seeks to conquer other lands to bring them into the Dominion, is at war with Daggerful Covenant, and of course in real Elder Scrolls Online it's at war with Covenant and Ebonheart Pact. And Ebonheart Pact was generated easily enough. It's a confederation between 3 races, Nords, Dunmer and Argonians, which is of course something dubious. People couldn't believe that all these 3 races would work together, but they live alongside each other, so why wouldn't they work together, right? And then it describes the races that are a part of Ebonheart Pact. Then Daggerful Covenant. First generated... It had a lot of problems generating Daggerful Covenant. One of the alliances... It's a group of human races banded together to oppose the Imperial Empire, which is of course incorrect, so I kept pressing it. It managed to generate a somewhat coherent one. It was formed in 3rd era, 396, which is of course incorrect, because... This is about the time when Morrowind happens, after Daggerful... Varys, Camlor and Nevermore threw off the yoke of imperial despotism and placed themselves under the rule of High King Emeric. Redguard tribes of southwestern Hammerfell were also drawn into the Covenant as well as the Orcish kingdom of Orsinium. Let's just delete this date and let's place a correct date. Here, as you can see, it was formed in 2nd era, 542, a few decades before the events of Elder Scrolls Online. And now we've jumped to location. Let's create some location. For the sake of brevity, I'm only going to create 3. And the rest of the locations are going to be automatically generated by the GPT-3 itself, because it already knows a lot about Tamriel. There we go, we've created some of the locations from the Elder Scrolls universe. I accidentally added an additional one. I was still fascinated to realize that it's correct. Except, of course, in this version of the story, it's being controlled by Old-Merry Dominion somehow, even though it's far away from the Dominion. Ellynor is the capital of Old-Merry Dominion, on the island of Somerset. Windhelm from Skyrim, we all know Windhelm, we love it. It's a city that belongs to Ulfric's... What's his name? Ulfric Stormcloak. in Skyrim, and it's a very important city, and you saw as well. And whereas Daggerful Covenant, it somehow managed to generate a very curious backstory for Varys. It was founded sometime during the First Era, lore-friendly enough, by the Breton settlers, okay, under the guidance of the One Varens. Nobody knows who those people are, something new. It generated some new lore for Elder Scrolls. The city was built as a trade port, its corrected support, and a place of peace between the Bretons. The city is filled with a large variety of buildings and stores, very correct, but people of Varys are generally afraid of going beyond the walls, and it does have walls in the lore. I just can't stop being so fascinated about how much it knows, how much it can generate, even though it does miss frequently. And there, as you can see, we've generated 3 very important NPCs. I never realized it, but the NPC generator also knows something. It knows something about different NPCs. I chose to create High King Emeric, High King Jorun, and Queen Ayrenn because they are the leaders of different factions. Just add them to the game, just so the AI engine can know something else, some additional information, so they are a bit more present in the story itself. Of course, not everything here is lore-friendly, but it's almost completely correct. You can read it through if you want. Let's read Queen Ayrenn. Queen Ayrenn is an Altmer, the only daughter of Queen Nirnhild of Ellynor, and was sworn the ruler of Somerset Isle during the events of Elder Scrolls V Dragonborn. This is, of course, incorrect. GPT-3 itself just mixes all Elder Scrolls games into one occasionally. Let's just remove this part. Driven by a lust for adventure and exploration, Ayrenn left Somerset at the age of 20 into the rest of Tamriel. Quite correct. She is described as having unusual hair on par with an Altmer. She wears the colorful robes of her people and a pendant with an autumn-colored gem in it. She actually wears a gem on her head. Not completely correct, but it's still quite nice. Let's save the NPCs, and now we add the characters to this world, the characters we just created. High King Emeric, High King Jorun, and Queen Ayrenn. Use select. And now we save the world once again, just to be sure. And from this point we are ready to play the world itself. Let's give it a shot right away. Play world. There, as you can see the description, let's go with a quick start. And now we're in the game. Let's give it a quick read. Tamriel is a continent on the planet Nirn. It's a part of the Elder Scrolls fantasy universe. Well, kind of unimmersive, isn't it? It doesn't matter, because it gives the AI engine itself something to work off. You are Jitar, kind of a Khajiit name, a male Altmer on the continent of Nirn. It means we are a high elf. You live in Windhelm, a city in the Ebonheart Pact. You have joined the Templar Order to learn how to fight and to become a great warrior of the land. You have spent your entire life on a journey to this city, and now it's time to start your training. You are currently in the Templar Order Barracks, a large building next to the military district of the city. Although you have spent your entire life here, well, kind of contradicting here, isn't it, Avi? You know very little about the city itself. Let's take a look at the quests. This is a fairly generic quest for us to, have something to do. However, we are going to go and explore Tamriel on our own terms. Just be a tourist for one day. Okay, let's go to Mournhold. Okay, great, we went to Mournhold. And Mournhold, as you know, is a city. It was first a city in the DLC for the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind Tribunal, where we got to meet a second member of the Tribunal, the Almalexia. A person who managed to become a god through chimification. Well, that's quite complex lore right there. Okay, let's go and meet Almalexia herself. Let's see what she can say to us. There, as you can see, we managed to keep the AI on rails for a few steps. We go and meet Almalexia. Streets are filled with people, many of the merchants from the other provinces. You see large buildings that house many people. You walk through the streets of Mournhold until you reach the city walls. You go to the temple district and walk into Almalexia's chambers. You walk into the temple and are immediately hit with a wave of nostalgia. Well, that's quite real for us when we play Morrowind. You grew up in the city and spent most of your childhood here. You go to Almalexia's chambers. You walk up to the heavy wooden door and knock on it. Come in, a feminine voice says from behind the door. Let's see what happens next. Hello, your worship. How are you today? I'm fine, and yourself? She gives you a small smile. I'm well, thank you for asking. Let's look at her so we can get ourselves a brief description of who she is. You see a middle-aged woman with long red hair sitting on a chair in front of you. She's wearing a long red dress and has an hourglass figure. Well, that seems very interesting. But who is she according to lore? Let's try to write in story mode and see if GPT-3 can find information for us. Oh, there we go. Almalexia is the most powerful of the god kings of Morrowind and has lived for several millennia. She is a master of the school of hard magic, known as a thread of law. Very interesting. New lore generated. Let's just press enter and see what our character might do next. Oh, something is happening. She is a very powerful mage and an important figure in the politics of Morrowind. She is friendly towards the Empire, although she remains completely independent. She looks at you with intense curiosity, which of course is, well, quite something stimulating to think about. I don't know what's going to happen. AI dungeon, is it being naughty today? Let's see what's going to happen again. Tell me, Jitar, what is it that you desire? I desire many things, your worship. Oh my, let's keep pressing enter. Okay, after a nice, heartfelt, strangely heartfelt, of course, considering who Almalexia is, conversation, she is quite incurious about who we are, so I'm going to use a story input. You look at her with hope in your eyes. Will you... ... Will you go on a date with me? Yes, Jitar, I would love to. You breathe a sign of relief. Thank you, your worship. She laughs. You should call me Almalexia. Well, okay, I think at this point we should stop because we frankly have proven that GPT-3 is quite capable of just simply extracting the lore for Elder Scrolls from itself, even without us putting it into world info. You can do this with many other settings, you know, we can use it with Star Wars, with Harry Potter, with Lord of the Rings, that's immensely curious stuff. Lord of the Rings with any other fantasy, I don't know, Aragon, what's some other fantasy I've read as a kid. You can even choose to pick up random movies, you can do this and create yourself a setting for, I don't know, the Top Gun movie. You can create a world info for, let's say, America in the 19th century, in the Wild West. Everything like that. It's a world of limitless possibilities. World creation is just one of the most fascinating features that were added recently in the last few months. And I guess on that point we should end this video. I hope I inspired you to try out something new in AI Dungeon. And I hope you guys liked this video. I hope I didn't ramble too much. So please, most importantly, tell me in the comments what else you'd like me to see. I mean, I have a schedule, I created a plan of different AI dungeon related things, and I sort of want to start uploading random Minecraft content because I just want to see if people are going to start watching. I'm not sure if it's going to be a correct decision for my channel, so please feel free to tell me in the comments, because I have a pretty great idea about Minecraft. I want to kind of make a funny video about playing Minecraft hardcore in AI dungeon, and it should turn out to be quite funny, and maybe I'll attract some more viewers who like watching Minecraft. I mean, normally YouTubers don't discuss this kind of stuff with their audience, but sometimes they do, and I think it's quite alright. Please tell me, guys, what you'd like to see from me. So, until next time, Sparkfinger out. Bye for now.